raise the bar and expand our reach. Through Afromedia radio and social media channels, the viewpoint here transcends the narrow constraints of traditional media. In the human story, we take sides. Leading personalities are interviewed. We conduct professional reviews and reports. The original content we produce is created and presented by international journalists. You can only watch Canadian Afromedia channels. It was and still is a very enriching experience to interact with you. All opinions are welcome, but they are not our views, and we assume no responsibility. We broadcast from Ottawa City, the capital of Canada. Together, we raise the bar and expand our reach. Through Afromedia radio and social media channels, the viewpoint here transcends the narrow constraints of traditional media. In the human story, we take sides. Leading personalities are interviewed. We conduct professional reviews and reports. The original content we produce is created and presented by international journalists. You can only watch Canadian Afromedia channels. It was and still is a very enriching experience to interact with you. All opinions are welcome, but they are not our views, and we assume no responsibility.
All right, thank you very much, everyone joining us. Really appreciate your time on this broadcast this hour. This is Africa on Camera, and I have with me one of our very own in the studio, all the way from Cameroon. She's live and direct. Keep sharing this program. Those of you watching it, keep sharing it. Let it go viral. I encourage and I invite everyone to please join us. We are coming to you live from Canada on the African Portal Radio and also on Afromedia Canada. We really appreciate every one of you, and I really celebrate every one of you, no matter the country you reside, no matter where you are. I greet you according to your time zone, and I greet you according to your language. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all the Muslim brothers and sisters all over the world. And it's Ramadan period, and I say happy Ramadan and Marada to everyone listening to us. I greet you all, no matter where you are. I celebrate every one of you in West Africa, in Central Africa, in East Africa, in northern part of Africa. I greet you. Kedu, I greet you. Inakwana, I greet you. Hello, how are you? Ekale, no matter the language you speak, I greet you and I appreciate every one of you. Coming to you live and direct. This is one of the programs that puts Africa back on the spotlight, tell the story of Africa, and let the world know that Africa is ready for the action. Africa is a continent flow with milk and honey, and it's the right time for Africa to wake up to the reality of time. It's the right time for Africa to take their rightful space in the world, and it's the right time for Africa to say enough is enough. It's time for Africa to hold their life by themselves. Enough of Africa travel to other parts of the world for survival. It's time for Africa to stay within Africa, grow in Africa, have a better life in Africa, and enjoy the wealth of Africa. Enough of other people leverage on Africa, taking the resources of Africa to build their own continent. Enough, enough. Africa is ready for action. And Africa also wants to be like Canada. We don't want our children to travel to America. We don't want our children to travel to Canada. We don't want our children to come and be slaves to you. We want our children to stay back in Africa, grow in Africa, have peace in Africa, have everything that you are enjoying in your own country in Africa. The resources of Africa build what you are enjoying in your country today. Whether you like it or not, that is the truth. But Africa needs to develop themselves. We are clamoring for the African state to have their peace. Western, take your hand out of Africa. Let Africa be. You have almost 200 years crude oil that you will use for the next 200 years. But Africa don't have a crude oil that we use for one night. How come? Your land, you don't have crude oil in your countries. You don't have crude oil in your continent. But you steal the continent, you steal the raw materials in Africa to build your wealth. Take your hand off of Africa. Let Africa build themselves. Let Africa have good leadership. You are the one causing all the problem happening in Africa. Let Africa have good leadership and let us have peace in this life. We don't want to travel to any of the Western country. We want to stay in Africa and enjoy the wealth of Africa. We don't want to be a slave anymore. You say that the slave trade have gone. You say that colonization is gone. But systematically, you are still putting us back into advanced slavery. You are still leading our children back into advanced slavery. You better your own economy for us to leave our continent. Billions of Africa are dying on Mediterranean. What is killing them? Why are they in running? People are not traveling out of the Africa. People are escaping from Africa because of the hardship in Africa. You design it. The poverty in Africa is by design. The wealth is there. We have the crude oil. We have all the mineral resources. Every blessing is there. We have good weather. How come we are still poor? How come you prefer to give us aid instead of you giving us the freedom that we deserve? Take your hand off of Africa. Let Africa enjoy their wealth. If you leave Africa for 10 years, your continent will be rubbish. Your continent will not have anything to leverage on. You will not have anything again in your country. And that is why you make your own currency be more stronger. The European countries, the Western world, stop using Africa to develop your wealth. We are ready to take Africa to the next level. Just give me a pleasure to welcome the great woman all the way from Cameroon on this broadcast this hour. Yvonne, I'm so excited and I'm so happy to see you again on this broadcast this hour. This is Africa on Camera on Afro Media Canada. Here in South Africa, we are coming to you live and direct from the African Portal Radio TV International. I remain yours, Dare OLUSAN. All right, Yvonne, let's get to the business of the day. I'm so excited about what you are doing. A few weeks ago, you just have, one of the great celebration. I see the picture on the social media and it caught our attention. I say, I need to put you on the spotlight. Yes, thank you very much. Let's display some of the picture. They don't believe it. They don't believe in us, but we believe in ourselves. They don't believe that Africa, we can achieve greatness, but we believe in ourselves. The most successful people in the world, look at the American today, the most educated people in America, they are Africa. So I'm so happy to see all this picture of yours, Yvonne. Yvonne, let me give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to the listeners at home. Who you are, where you are, and the position you hold in the society.
Thank you so much, my brother. It's an honor for me to be here again to unite with you so that we can begin to do the things that are best for the children of the world, according to their customs, according to their way of life, according to their traditions, according to the way God created. My name is Yvonne Mundi, and thank you for celebrating me because this is one of the top achievements that is going to help me to do what I'm doing in the world, particularly beginning from home, and home is Africa. I am originally from Cameroon. I reside now in the United States of America, but home is home. I'm glad that you bring this to me to bring it home so that we can begin to develop the continent of Africa, the United States of Africa. We have the potentials. We have the resources. We have what it takes to do that. And a developed and happy Africa is a developed and happy world for all the children of the world. That is why I am the founder of One Global Movement, which is a movement that I created to help educate, empower, uplift the children of the world, particularly in those areas of the world that are suffering, not because of choice of its own, but because of design by some people. And we need to fight against this because the greatest service of all, the scripture says, is a service to humanity, true service to humanity, not just lip services, doing it, and also protecting and guarding against things that are harming our children and others. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate that. Thank you very much, Yvonne. You are doing a great job. And I know that the sky is the starting point. I'm not surprised to see all the progress, and I'm not surprised to see One Global Movement It's part of the thing that we discussed years back, even though we have some breaking up in communication, but it doesn't matter the space. We are still together in this, and I believe together we can achieve this. And I'm so excited to have you back on this program this hour. This is Africa on Camera, coming to you live and direct from Afro Media in Canada. And I really appreciate everyone in the studio in Canada. Thank you for the great work that you are doing. I really appreciate. Afro Media Canada is the one of the TV, or the TV and radio station that is clamoring for the freedom of Africa and also promoting the African content. And I really appreciate the great work that they are doing. We are in collaboration with the African Portal Radio TV, and we are still expecting more Africa people, successful people in Africa, be part of this. A lot of Africans have what it takes to take all this content to the next level, but you don't do it because you don't believe in Africa. But the more you keep on holding on to what you have, instead for you to use it to develop this continent, the more you are destroying the future of the coming generation. And if Africa fail to get it right now, it will be very destructive for our coming generation, because they will still be slaves, as they are still planning to kill our language. They are still planning to divide us more. They are still planning to use the religion to separate us. And we don't love ourselves. The blacks, the Africa, we don't love ourselves. That is why one of the philosophers in South Africa in 1986 said, give African politics. They will use it to right themselves. They will kill themselves. Give them gun. They will kill themselves. Because they believe that we black, we Africa, we don't believe in ourselves. They believe that we Africa, we like to pull ourselves down. We don't believe in promoting ourselves. They're successful because they are promoting themselves. They're successful because they see their own products as the most important one to buy for everyone. They are successful because they see Africa as a place where they can leverage on for them to develop themselves. But they love themselves. They support themselves. They eat what they produce. They produce what they eat. Africa will leverage on that. We don't produce what we eat. We are consuming. We are the consuming continent. We stand for us to be a productive continent. We are consuming. We need to change this narrative. Africa, we will not come out of this if we are still living side by side, hating ourselves, self-hate. That is why you see Africa within South Africa will be telling fellow Africa, go back to your country. What do you mean country? There is nothing like that. It's a self-hate. You are first Africa before you become whatever you become. Whether they gave you the name Mozambique, or they give you the name South Africa, or they give you the name Cameroon, it's by design. It's just to use it to rule, to use it to control, to use it to divide. So let's come out of that. Let's fight for the free state of Africa that Muammar Gaddafi stood for. Let's fight for the freedom of Africa. Africa is not free. Africa is still in bondage. Look at Yvonne today. Yvonne should be in Cameroon, working towards the development of Cameroon. But because of economy of Cameroon, she cannot stay in Cameroon. She's now in the United States of America, using her own wisdom, her own strength to develop the continent, or to develop another man's country in America. Because everybody needs good life. Why don't we plant the same good life here in Africa? So our children will stay back in Africa. They will live in Africa. They will not run around the way we are running around. Do we still want our children to inherit, traveling abroad, become a burden to other people? Why don't their own children come to Africa to come and be slave in Africa? Why American children doesn't come to America to come and look for a job? Why do American children doesn't come back to Africa to come and be working in the streets in Africa? Why is it Africa needs to go to all those places to go and be working as a slave many hours, paying bills? We're working for the bills every day. Everybody is hustling just to pay bills to survive. No, that is not the conversation today. We are still coming back, because one global movement is the voice of Africa. The African Portal is the voice of Africa. And also, Afro Media Canada is the voice of Africa. So, Yvonne, let's get to the business of the day. One global movement. Before I celebrate your achievement and talk about that, let's talk about your movement first. What is it all about, and what are you intended to achieve?
Thank you so much. This is a question that is so needed and needed every day, because we need to nurture and ask such questions every day to remind ourselves of the great responsibility that we owe to ourselves, our families, our communities, and the global community. Community meaning the continent of Africa, because charity to me begins at home. You cannot stretch out a hand to help somebody across the road when you have not helped your own self first and your household. So one global movement, one first in the sense that we all were created in the same image, one image by Almighty God. Nobody, no matter who or what you are, has the capacity, the power to take from one another what does not belong to them. And nobody has the ability or capacity to abuse a child. If talking about that, I read a lot about the history of the war. And I read about slavery, colonialism, imperialism, and discrimination, and all the coups d'etats and the wars instigated in Africa, and the kind of suppression that goes along with Black people all over the world. And I decided to do something, because I can't just talk about something without doing something. What was my solution? My solution was to form this one global movement, which is focused on, number one, changing the mindset of our children, particularly the youths, especially with a focus on the young woman. We, as Africans in particular, have been so brainwashed to think that we are nothing, we cannot amount to anything, we are useless, we are poor, we are homeless, we are beggars. And that is not true. Because if you learn about our history shows humanity started from Africa. It is not by my own design or your own design. It is by the design of the creator of the universe, the Almighty God. Humanity started from Africa. And Africa is, if you do your research, is the richest continent on the surface of the earth. In terms of the population, Africa has the highest population. In terms of the natural resources, Africa feeds the global economy with more than 68% of its natural resources. In terms of land mass, Africa has the largest land mass in the world. But because of slavery, you know that when you change the mindset of people, you have changed, alter everything about them. When the slavery came to Africa, they intended to destroy our culture. They said, let us break the backbones of these people. And the backbone means their culture, their language, their food, everything that entails us, Africa. They want to break it. And keep in mind that the behavior of some of us today who don't know, especially the youths, when you destroy people, starting with their mind, what you're doing is destroying them for generations to come. It will take hard work, dedication, and love and unity to be able to erase that mindset. That is why I'm also a transformational coach, because I want to try to see how I can do to start changing the minds of people to believe in who they are, to believe, to be proud that they are Black, but they're still beautiful. They are Black, they are smart, they are Blacks, they can do anything. Like you said before, look at the United States of America. Most of the doctors, they are Africans. We are supposed to be in the continent investing in ourselves. So when I look at all of this, that's why I came with one global movement, because a stable and economically powerful Africa will be a stable and economically powerful continent to help the rest of the world. The world is a global village. Without Africa, there will be no world. And to continue to push us down is not a good thing. And we sit and look. You said before, what are our children going to do? I have to stand up and fight for my children. I'm a mother of 10, one biological, 10 adopted. And I need to fight for these children. I have Caucasians in my family. I have all colors in my family. I have to fight for everybody. That is why I came with one global movement to empower, to educate, and uplift the youths with a focus on the young woman to see the great potentials in them, so that in turn they too can do the same to other people, to start to build generational wealth, to thrive, to live a life of leadership and purpose. And we need to come together to do this. It's a lot of things. That's why I formed this One Global. We are one. If we want to continue to be happy and to be healthy, we need to work alongside, not taking from the others and not hurting the others, not pretend. We don't need aids, like you say. Leave us alone, we can produce. We have engineers, we have doctors, we have everything in our manufacturers. But the way the world is so designed, they design it to continue to destroy and to kill Africa. And we're not going to sit here and let that happen. And we do this with the help of Almighty God, it will come to happen. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. That is beautiful. I really appreciate that. Let's talk a bit about the achievement few weeks ago. I think it's last weekend, and I see a lot of people that is part of this great achievement. And I celebrate all the ladies, all African women in that category. I really appreciate every one of you. I know most of the ladies there, and I'm so excited and I'm so happy to see all the beautiful African women doing great out there for themselves and for the continent Africa, and raising the banner so high to the extent that we have the representative in almost every aspect of life, especially in those so-called first world countries. All right, let's look at that. What is it all about? Tell us a bit about it, and how excited are you about it?
I am very, very excited, but more so, I am so grateful. Because if you, and I'm sure you have known a little bit about my background, I come from Cameroon in this little village of less than 100 people called OLUDARE. And I became the very first female child to have a bachelor's degree for more than a decade. It's a big deal to me. It's still a big deal. It's a big deal to the parents of that village. It's a big deal to the children that look up to me from that village. And now, children of the world, they're looking up to me. If you had to watch my show today, we had one young lady from India. She looks up to me highly. And so it was just something so happy, so rewarding, and so, if my grandmother, and I know she is watching from heaven, she fought tooth and nail to have me acquire an education. Like we all know, all around the world, not just in Africa, much emphasis is placed on the male child as opposed to the female child. And so we are still fighting for young women to get into the IT sector, to get into engineering, to get into other things, So this weekend, and I told myself, education took me to freedom and success. I will continue to educate myself in those areas where they will help me to build the Africa, the home, to build the world that I so desire. Growing up, I had a lot of goals. I wanted to build IT schools, polytech schools in every country, not in every state in Africa, but in every country in the world, so that when we do that, we begin to educate a young generation of people that will see one person across the globe and say, my brother, my sister, instead of discriminating. So this weekend, I have been doing this doctorate degree for some time, and this weekend, I graduated. And I thank the Almighty God. I dedicated it not to myself. I don't call myself a doctor. I call my mother, the 17-year-old teenage mother who had me. I said, Dr. Lucy Muyang, that's my mother. I call my grandmother who is watching from heaven, Dr. Monica Fonacho. I call my other mothers, my Auntie Rose, Dr. Rose Angel, Dr. Joanna Adam. Those are my doctors, because if you see these women out of nothing, they invested in me. I wanted an education so bad that I almost went insane, and they gave it to me together with the village. So this was so powerful, and it's still powerful for me. And I will continue to invest in those things that I will take to build home and build the world with. Thank you.
All right, Ivona, we not take much of your time because we have a lot of things to deal with. But I celebrate all the ladies that's in that category. I really appreciate every one of you. It's not easy but you guys, you made us proud, and we are so proud of you as well. All right, let me take you back to the line of history because it's important. Why? Because Africa needs to tell their story for them to know what we have been through. If they don't understand what we have been through, it will be difficult for them to understand our breakthrough. So let's tell them about what we've been through so that they will really understand why we are having the breakthrough that we are having now. Take us a bit back to your line of history. You mentioned it briefly where you are talking now, but let's quickly talk about that. Take us.
The thing kind of break up a little bit. I didn't hear you.
Okay, just take us back a bit to the line of history. Your journey from where you born to where you are now.
Thank you so much.
Just make it brief.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, born in Cameroon, in Mbengui, in this little village called Wumnete. My mother was given away into marriage at a very young age. My grandmother the same, but my grandmother lived an incredible life with my grandfather. And they were very prosperous. They were very happy. My mother too was given away into marriage at the age of 15. By the time she was 16, she had the first children who were twins. And the husband was wrongfully taken away from her, and all her property and everything was seized while still breastfeeding the twins. She was raped in the most filthy way by the usurper of all her property, and she got pregnant with me. And she gave me birth. We went through a lot. We suffered not because we didn't have what my mother worked so hard. She did the best, did what she knew how best to do, is farming and marketing and raising us. You know, my grandmother did the best, recruited a Sunday school teacher to be teaching us and all those things, you know. So, but it came to the point where at 11, you know, I was first of all given away at the age of 3. I stayed far away from home. My mother still visited me just once in 8 years. And when I was done with primary school, my father asked me to come back home. And so they had already arranged a marriage for me to a 38-year-old man. And when I came, my grandmother heard about it and said, no, this child will go to school. This child must go to school. She cannot get married at that age while you have older children that can get married. So that is when my battle started. School, that is when they started educating me. I sometimes I slept in the bush because I refused to get married. The bush became my home. My father would not let me visit anybody or stay in the house. So I stayed in the bush for some time. But while in that bush as a child, certain things began to come to me. I was just hearing voices, and a lot of things, good things were coming to me. And some women and some parents of the village, they will come and search for me, look for me in the bush and give me food and put food on plantain leaves for me to eat. And, you know, people will hear about that. They'll be like, oh my God. To me, it didn't mean anything because God gave me life. There were other young girls who were going through the same thing like me, but those young girls are no more. But why did God choose me out of them for me to be alive? Because I take it that there is a purpose on my life. I have to do what God has asked me to do, which I'm happy. This is what I am doing right now. If I show you this, this is a mantle of blessing. My grandmother blessed me and asked me to take it to the world, to the women and children and all the families of the world, especially children, to bless them and serve them, that I'm a servant of the world. And that is why I'm doing all those things. Right now, up to this point, I thank God for this journey. It only gets better and better. Thank you.
Wow, wow, what a beautiful story. I mean, look at it. Look at what she have been through. Now, if we are talking about a breakthrough, because she have a lot of been through, that is why a breakthrough is so loud. She is the doctor, the latest doctor in town, but is dedicated to the grandmother, dedicated to her mother, because they are the one that give us the courage for her to achieve what she achieved today. Let's quickly look at that achievement, Yvonne. Let's look at it and let's talk about what are you planning now beyond the One Global movement. What is the next step? Where are we heading to from here?
A lot of plans here. First of all, I need to get, if you can do it, or somebody who has to put all these goals that I have down. My intention, number one, is, like I said before, is to build schools that will train, schools that will educate and train youths. When they come out of this school, they will know what they already want. And they have to do things that come from their heart, not the things that they are copying or doing from other people. Do what you love to do. If God appointed you and ordained you to sweep the street, sweep it and sweep it well. We will teach that. And then we'll make sure that these children, they already have what they want to do. The jobs are already out there waiting for them, so they don't come out and start looking for jobs. Or if you want a business, the business is already established before you leave the school. Or if you want to work for the school, it is right there. And this is what I am planning to do. Education, education, education. President Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. We need education to change our mindsets. Without a change of our mindsets, we are not going to know where we are going. So education is number one. And I am going to also, which I will come back to you again in the future, there is something that I want to bless Africa with and the world. It is coming. You will hear about it. So I'll leave it at that point, but it will come.
Wow, I'm so excited to hear that, and I believe that it will definitely come. I'm not going to be staying far from you from now. We still have a lot of things to do. Remember, we have a lot of discussion about it. We need to achieve them. All right, before we continue, let me quickly allow the team in Canada to quickly put up some adverts before we continue on this program. Up to you in the studio.
In the coming show, we will have a guest from South Africa who is both an author and a speaker. The CEO of the African Portal Radio TV International based in South Africa. Further, he is also an author, motivational speaker, model, and businessman. He also studied journalism at the University of Pennsylvania. He is the founder of and member of several organizations advocating for the African state and African development. In the coming show,
ready to be inspired by the amazing stories of best-selling authors and filmmakers? Afromedia offers an engaging media platform so you can begin your journey today. Explore our website now and let yourself be moved by the incredible tales of these incredible creatives. Ready to be...
We broadcast from Ottawa City, the capital of Canada. Together, we raise the bar and expand our reach. Through Afromedia radio and social media channels. The viewpoint here transcends the narrow constraints of traditional media. In the human story, we take sides. Leading personalities are interviewed. We conduct professional reviews and reports. The original content we produce is created and presented by international journalists. You can only watch Canadian Afromedia channels. It was and still is a very enriching experience to interact with you. All opinions are welcome, but they are not our views, and we assume no responsibility.
All right, thank you very, very much. Thank you very much, great guys in the studio. You can put us back on the spotlight right now. I will come back to those pictures. Thank you very much. I really appreciate guys behind the camera in the studio in Canada. And I also appreciate everyone here in Victoria, South Africa. Now still here in Victoria, South Africa, the African Portal Radio. For everyone, for whatever you want to advertise or sponsorship, call +277033584. Together we can do it. Together we can make this continent a great continent. Even let's quickly, because of our time, we still have a lot of things to do, but I know we cannot cover everything today. Let's look at some of the things that you mentioned earlier on, especially the project that you have at hand that you say they should watch out for. Are you teaming up with some people to achieve this, or is this something that you already have everything that you need for, or you need some sponsorship? Let the world know how you want this to happen.
Thank you so much for asking me. That's a very important question, especially towards something so large like this. Definitely, I need help because one hand, like they say in my dialect, cannot tie a bundle. I need some other hands and I need some other heads with me. But I am a founder. I'm lucky enough to be a founder of this company. which we are 1.4 million founders. This company, it's based on uplifting humanity from the heart. This company sees what children of the world are going through, what families are going through. They're suffering. There's a lot of poverty. There is a lot of exploitation. We are going to be the correction to the corruption. And we are going to go against the oppression that is going on in the world. And we're going to make sure that some of our children, particularly from Africa, who have been promised better life in the continent, in other continents, they will have to be right in their own continent, in their own homes, in the confines of their home, and study from kindergarten right up to PhD without crossing the Atlantic Ocean and being washed off the shores and dying in the forest without the parents knowing. They will be trained to know that the education that they're going to have is exactly what is going to help them where they are in their own areas without being fooled again. And it's going to be mostly home education made the best. And it's going to go away from what we see around the world, the educational system. So there are people right now that I'm working with. Other people want to join in, but the one thing that I need to do now is to establish a nonprofit. They asked me to do that because it's not an easy to build schools all over the world, mounting those structures. It's something that is larger than my life. So I need help.
Oh, all right. All right. And everyone listening to us around the world, you hear that yourself. She need help. We still need more sponsors. We still need more help to achieve this. This is a great vision, and this is a great mission that we're going to come to reality. But we also need your support as well, and we also want you on board for us to achieve this together. This will bring balance to our continent, Africa, and also it will help our children to be able to stay back in Africa, achieve whatever they want to achieve in Africa, live well in Africa. Like I said earlier on, look at let's put Libya in the spotlight. Libya is one of the countries that people are living very well. The government provide a good life for them to be able to stay back. But see how because of their greedy mind, see how they mess up the economy of Libya. But we are creating a system right now that is going to make sure that we have the school all around the world and keep Africa on the spotlight. All right, Yvonne, let's quickly look at the issue of the distance. What are you doing to make sure that to achieve this, you are in America? What are you going to do? Are you relocating back to Africa? How are you going to go about this?
Yes, like I said before, we are living in a global village and there is advancement in technology. I have to be all over the world, not just stationing in one place, because I have to move all over the world to talk, to educate, to inspire people, not just in one spot. I have a home in Cameroon. I have a home here. I can have a home in Nigeria. Every place. I have an office right now in another state in Atlanta. A good friend of mine who saw what happened last Saturday offered me an office. And it's a very good, not like a friend. We discovered ourselves on that day of graduation. She just started doing these things for me. You see how God can line your path with good people. So I will, but home is home. I went home a few years ago before the senseless war broke out in Cameroon, which is being instigated by the colonialists, And I said, I'll be going home. I bought books and everything to go home and start teaching about first aid. What do you do to protect yourself when you get a fever or a little something? So, but home is home. If I'm doing anything, number one is in that village where they helped me, number one. That is because if they didn't help me, I would not be here today, even talking with you. So I will be there. I'll have a home there, good home, where you yourself can come and visit the Africa House. That's what I'm going to name it. And then come to Nigeria, do the same thing. We need to go all over so that our children, our families can see that, you know what? No matter what has been told to you, no matter the brainwash, no matter what, but if you have that belief, you can still make it. Let's go back to live our culture and our tradition. That is the way God created us to be. I am in the United States here. Come and see me. I live my culture here. I live it. I farm here in my backyard. I do everything from scratch and I do it. That's the way our culture is. I put on, sometimes you see me tying my hair, putting all my traditional things. That is the way. I will live all over. I am right here now with you. You're going to probably be interviewing me all the time, because anything that is going to come out, the kids should know. Beginning from home, Africa should know. The world should know what is going on, what we can do, because there's no need instigating wars and killing our children. We can trade with one another, clean trade, and tell the truth and do the right thing. We can't continue to go through slave trade like this. It's not acceptable.
Wow. Thank you very much, Yvonne. That gives me a great pleasure to say congratulations to you for that achievement. And time like this is time to look to you in the face and say, well done. Well done for the great job that you are doing. And well done for raising the banner. Thank you for being the voice, and thank you for being the face for the faceless, the voice for the voiceless. And you made us proud, and we celebrate your achievement. We celebrate what you carry, and we celebrate your vision and your mission. And we really appreciate it. And it's a time for us to bring you back on the spotlight to say, we saw all what you are doing, and we really appreciate it. And we thank God for your life. And we say, well done. The sky is just the starting point. So we are still coming. This is just the little of what is coming. She's now Dr. Yvonne. The last time where we spoke, I still call her Yvonne, but I will still be collecting the name from your mom and your grandmom to be giving it to you back to you. But like you said, the village where you grew up is very important. Yvonne, let's quickly deal with one thing before we say goodbye on this program. It takes a village to raise a child. That is one of the adage that we grew up to know. But we are living in a generation that's the village neglects the child now, especially in Africa. The Western ideology, people are living in their own island, in their own cuisine. They don't want to interact with others. They don't want their children to mingle with others. You cannot speak to child within the community and correct the child anymore. Like before, the community will correct it. We build a child, but we're living in a society where the community left their duty, and we have so many untrained child in this current generation. What can we do to correct this, and how can we bring this ideology back into system in Africa?
It will, and there is no problem without a solution. We have to look for those solutions within us. We're not going to look for those solutions outside. But how do we do that? I design, and I'm going to continue to design programs, short little programs that will begin to, I design it to help people to see the importance, the value in themselves, in their culture, and in their family. See the way that we were raised. You cannot commit a crime here and you pretend to run to the other person's house. They'll ask you, did you fetch wood and water for your parents? If you didn't, they will send you back. And so there is always a way to bring this back. I am here as an example. I raise my children, my son in particular, my biological son, to know that he goes and volunteer into community. He builds community. He's here in the United States. He's in school. He builds those communities. We can do that. It is for me and you and others that have that love for people to come together to begin to build. It helps a big deal. I'm telling you, if you stretch and you see a mother coming from the farm with a basket on the head, go there and take it and carry it. Those are your own blessings that you're investing in yourself. We can do this, but it is through education in the traditional way, the way we were raised, not just classroom education. We do that. It can be done.
All right. I will be looking forward to bring you back anytime soon, but I think I will be drawing the curtain right here.
Thank you.
Yeah, right now, I believe that everyone listening to us, no matter the country you reside, no matter where you are, I believe you have gained one thing or the other on this program right here, right now. Please keep sharing it, keep watching Afro Media Canada, and keep watching the African Portal Radio, and keep following One Global Movement is on the spotlight right now on the African Portal Radio TV International. Before we say goodbye, let me put you on the hot seat in 1 minute. Your own personal experience will help somebody. how do you deal with disappointment?
I will have to say thank you so much for that question. But a lot of people, they look at disappointment as a very bad thing. Every disappointment is a blessing, because every disappointment that has happened to me, and it has happened quite a lot, is a blessing. Even as you grow, as you achieve things, every people will be throwing stones and sticks and everything at you, but you need to take it positively. Do not fight somebody. Take what you see and climb. Remember, there is no pain without gain, and there is no gain without pain. If I did not go through what I went through, maybe I would not be here today. I would have taken life for granted. Take that disappointment and nurture it. What is it that God has put within you? Look deep within you. And with the intervention of divine powers, there is nothing that you cannot do. Write affirmations that I am here. If you don't know what to say to yourself, you don't know how to search within you, I am here. Reach out to me. I am here. I am a servant of the entire world with a focus on the continent of Africa. Every disappointment is a blessing, because if you were nobody, nobody will come to you. But if you're somebody, disappointments will come to you, and take them and move along with a clean mind and a clean heart for the sake of humanity. Thank you.
Wow. With that, I just want to say thank you to everyone listening to us. You had it yourself. Disappointment. That is how she deal with disappointment. Every disappointment is blessing in one way or the other. So with this, I just want to say thank you to everyone and congratulations to Yvonne all the way from Cameroon. I believe that we can still bring her back in times to come to be on the spotlight. And I'm addressing her from Cameroon because I believe she's a Cameroon. It doesn't matter where you are staying. I'm not interested. I'm interested that you are from Cameroon and you are one of the Africa. And I celebrate that. I really appreciate that. Africa is blessed. Thank you very much, the great team in the studio. Thank you for bringing this back. She is doing great, and I'm so excited to see this great achievement. I'm so excited. I'm looking forward to mine as well. I'm coming to America to come and get this one of these days. Not to come and stay, just to come and collect this, to be part of this, and come back to Africa. Africa is home. Africa is our business. We believe so much in Africa, and we believe in the growth of Africa. And from here, I just want to say, join me again next week on the same station, same time, and we are going to be here bringing another people on the spotlight on the African portal, talking about the Africa, talking about the growth, and talking about what we are expecting in Africa. I really appreciate every one of you, and kudos to all the great team in Canada and also to our team in South Africa. It's Africa on Camera, and it's a program that you need to go out there, share, like, comment. The more you share it, the more you give it opportunity to go viral. Yvonne, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time on this program. Keep sharing it. Keep supporting Africa. Keep supporting African Portal. We can do it, and we can do it together. So keep doing what you are doing. I appreciate every one of you. From here is goodbye. I will see you again next week by the grace of God. I remain Joshua OLUDARE OLUSAN. Goodbye from here. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you.
In the coming show, we will have a guest from South Africa who is both an author and a speaker.